in case anything does go poorly. So, but again, the importance of having a really supportive senior leadership team that has said 21st century digital teaching and learning is a priority for our board. So we're lucky in that sense. And again, Ontario, I don't think has as many stringent rules as some of the other provinces. So what I want to do in the
sorry, one more, and then we may go. Go ahead, Brett.
Neal, I'm wondering, when your students migrate to university or post-secondary after grade 12 or 13, do you export their blog contents out to a domain so they can take ownership and use it for future?
That's a great question. We've talked about, and actually we're delving into different solutions around a digital portfolio. Today we don't. When a student graduates, their accounts are removed and all of that data would be removed, but there's nothing stopping a student who wants that data from going into the blog tool and doing an export. It's not as easy as we'd like. We haven't had any requests to make it easier, but I mean, the content is theirs until they graduate, so they could, elect to go in and screenshot it or grab the content and move it out. But no, we haven't done anything formally around that, but great question. So I'm going to delve into my class because that's really the meat and potatoes of the really heavy lifting we did around Office 365. And I'll give you just a brief history on why we did my class. We used to have a tool 4 years ago, which was on our on-premise SharePoint environment called My Class. And again, it was a place where teachers could basically, leverage SharePoint technology with their students. We chose not to upgrade that because it was in SharePoint 2007, I think. And when Office 365 came as a cloud offering, it basically is SharePoint Online. So we migrated all of the functionality that was in our legacy My Class system to the cloud and actually made it a lot better using the tools that were available. So this is the dashboard of My Class that you see. And again, a student would see all the courses. The courses are listed here along the left-hand side. So a student who's taking maybe 3 or 4 courses might see 3 or 4 icons for each one of the teachers that's teaching them. There's also the ability for a teacher to create a My Class site for a club or an event that they're doing. So if you're part of the chess club, a teacher can certainly launch a site and create that and share it out. In the middle section here, we have what's called the newsfeed. Now, Microsoft doesn't leverage the newsfeed in Office 365 anymore. They've moved to something called Yammer, but we really like the functionality of the newsfeed, so we're still using it. It's still technically available, but I don't think they're supporting it anymore, but we love it. And over here on the right-hand side, all the upcoming events that I might have for all the classes that I'm participating in. Again, my site's a little bit different because I'm not a teacher and I just create test sites all the time. But I'll show you what a teacher would do if they were, wanting to collaborate with their class. And again, all of this is custom code. So we did all of this ourselves. And as I said before, Clark, if there's interest, we're more than willing to share the work we've done here. The problem is if you don't have a SharePoint developer, on your teams, it might be difficult to take what we've done here and move it into another board. But all of the pieces we're leveraging are available in SharePoint Online today. So it wouldn't be, too difficult to do something, of your own. We just really took the bull by the horns and did a lot of custom work and heavy lifting. So for a teacher who wants to create a brand new class site, they click on Add New Site, and it takes them into this area here where they, give the site a name, they give the description, they choose, what they teach. So if I'm a career studies teacher or a Canadian history teacher or whatever, I can click one of these things in the drop-down box. And all that drop-down box does is assign it an icon and a color, their little button here. The real power of the tool, though, comes when you move down to the permissions area. Because as I said before, we spent a lot of time automatically creating distribution lists for every single course that's taught and every single course and section that's taught. So let's say, for example, now, if I were a teacher, it would have defaulted to my school, but I'll just choose Cawthra Park Secondary School from the drop-down list here. So as a teacher in Cawthra Park, I can come down here and say, you know what, here's my homeroom 1D1, or if I'm a, CHY4UH Section A teacher, I can select, this course and section, and I can then give all the students in my class student permission to my site. Now, the reason we did this, and I want to pause and really explain this, is when we first launched 365, we thought it would be a great idea to automatically create sites for every teacher for every course and section that they taught and do all that heavy lifting for them. But the feedback came back loud and clear that teachers don't want to necessarily have one site for every course and section they teach. There's a lot of teachers that want to have, you know, if they're teaching 4 sections of grade 12 history, they might want to have one site and have that site shared with all 4 of their sections. There's some teachers who want to team teach. So you might have, you know, 4 geography teachers in a school who all want to share one site and invite all their kids. Or you might want to have, anyway, any number of combinations. So we've given them the full flexibility with this little permissions window here to add as many course and sections as they want, which are all dynamically created. And if they want to team teach, you can add a specific teacher from the address book using this box here. And again, you can give teacher permission to a teacher and student permission to students. So again, hopefully that I explained that relatively well. Instead of creating a brand new class site, I'm just going to close this down, and I'm actually going to go into one that I've got working already, which I created for today, which is called my Manitoba test. So here it is here, or Manitoba demo. So I'll just click on that. So once you've created a My Class site, you get the standard My Class shell. And again, we did a lot of focus groups with teachers to find out exactly what they wanted to include in a My Class site. So I'll just talk about the different elements, and I'll actually demo some of the elements as well. So at the very top of a My Class site, you have your class announcements. You can see it's just a really, really simple announcements SharePoint tool that basically allows a teacher to, you know, post announcements. So today it says, demo today, I'll be demonstrating the power of Office 365. I can collapse that. I can talk about field trips, that sort of thing. I can open and close the different announcements. As I mentioned before, the newsfeed post, newsfeed is sort of an old technology in 365 now, but I think it's really, really powerful. The sorts of things you can do in a newsfeed post, I mean, you can, just post a test, and, it tells you who posted it, when they posted it. You have the ability to like the post, you have the ability to reply to a post. And I'll talk a little bit about the power of the newsfeed, giving you an example. So here's an example down here where a teacher may have posted a YouTube video for a class about, simple equations. So the nice thing is when you actually leverage a YouTube video, it actually makes a little thumbnail, and you can watch. So it's from the Khan Academy. The student can watch the video whenever they want, when they're at home or whatever, and a student can actually reply right to the teacher's post. So let's say, for example, a student doesn't understand the concept at the 2-minute mark. They can say, hey, Mr. Larsen, I didn't understand the content at a specific point in time. And other students who are members of this, collaborative environment can actually go on and they can actually help students out. There's a wonderful story that happened in Peel a couple of years ago that a teacher shared with me where this exactly happened. Teacher posted a video. Students were told to view it at night. Teacher went offline. Student had a problem with the content. Posted a message to the teacher saying, I don't understand the content, and another student actually, stepped up and helped the student, understand the concept. And the nice thing is when the teacher came back the next morning, there was a running commentary in the comment section of exactly what had happened. So, the teacher could basically say, hey, good job, Billy, you really helped Bobby out tonight when he had a problem with that lesson. So the whole idea of flipping the classroom and allowing, students to basically step up and help each other. So the news feed's great for that. You can also post Excel Online documents and give, previews for certain things. So here's a document I created within the environment. I posted a link to it. Students can then see a preview of it, or if they click the link, they can actually open it in Excel Online and work on it directly. So that's sort of what the news feed looks like. Really, really cool. Class links up at the top. Again, if you wanted to leverage a specific link to a class or link to students. I've typed in a Google Maps link here, actually spelled it wrong. But if I click on that, it launches, Google Maps. So teacher, in their class wanting to post external links to a whole bunch of resources, they can certainly do that. The next 2 sections used to be combined into one, but again, based on user feedback, we broke them out. So course resources and collaborative documents. The idea behind, or the differentiation between the two of them is a course resource is something a teacher wants to put online that is read-only. So, I don't know, a test or a quiz or something that is not meant to be mucked with by a student. So by default, students have no edit access to any of the information posted in the course resources area. So a teacher posts it there, students can only view the data. They can't delete it, they can't edit it. But the cool part is, and one of the powerful things about these environments is in the collaborative documents area. This is where you can really get synchronous collaboration. And I do actually want to show you a demo of that. So what I'll do is from the collaborative documents area here, I'm going to click on New, and I'm going to click on Excel Workbook. And you'll notice what happens. This is what I was talking about before. I'm actually going to go on to Excel Online, and I'm actually going to show you some of the power of the tool. So I've got a couple of laptops here where I'm actually going to do a little bit of a demo. So this is Excel Online. This is not the Excel client. This is all available in the cloud. So I'm just going to come over here and type in, January, and down here I'm going to type in, I'm going to type in Monday. And just like the regular version of Excel, although this is the online version, so it's totally cool. I can come down and I can just, missed Sunday there. I was going to do that. So all the things you would expect to happen in the full-fledged client version of Excel, you can also do in the online version. And I'm going to also insert a column chart. So there we go. So we've got some data here. And again, as I start typing in, data points on here, my chart automatically begins. So let me give you a scenario. I'm a teacher teaching in a classroom full of students who are leveraging BYOD. So they've brought their own devices to class. And I say, you know what, we're going to measure the annual rainfall of a specific place, and I want everyone with access to my MyClass site to basically log in, to go to the collaborative documents area, and I want you to help me fill in this Excel document. So I've got another laptop that you can't see off camera here, and I'm just going to open up this exact same Excel document as another user, and I'm going to start helping the teacher fill this data in. So I'm going to choose a field. And you can see in Office 365, it says Mr. Smith from Ash Glen Secondary School is now also editing the document. So Mr. Smith is going to enter in, something down here, and something over here, and something over here, and something over here. And as the teacher, I can edit something, here, and I can edit something here, and I can edit something here. And as a class, we're now building this Excel table. And I've seen teachers use this whereby they say, okay, class, 30 people, you've all got your own devices. Some are using iPads, some are using Android devices, some are using board PCs. The teacher puts it in the collaborative documents area, and every single student in the class automatically has access to it, and they can all collaboratively work on a document. And you can see as I move around the screen, it's a real-time view of the two different users. So I'm the green dot and Mr. Smith is the blue dot here. And as more and more students were to get on, they would all have different colors. So if you've seen, Google Docs, Google gets tons of praise for having this functionality. Microsoft has the exact same functionality built into Office 365, but their marketing department's just not as good as Google's, I guess. So they don't get some of the praise. So this works with Excel, it works with Word, it works with PowerPoint, all the tools that kids are used to in an online environment. And again, you don't need the client to do any of this. So I did want to point that out as a really cool tool. So I'm just going to head back to my Manitoba demo site here and and click on the home button just to take me back home. So hopefully that was clear about how to use, synchronous collaboration with students using some of the tool sets there. So that's the document I just created a few seconds ago, and it even tells the teacher who last modified it. And again, as students start to modify it, you get to see, how that grows. Other elements, we also have an assignment Dropbox. Again, something we created that wasn't out of the box automatically. So a student can basically, choose a file, any file on their PC. They can then choose to upload that document, and the teacher, if they click on My Dropbox, sees every file that's been uploaded, and we have an internal mechanism by which we post the student number in front of all the files. So the teacher really quickly and easily knows which file belongs to which student. Again, relatively rudimentary, but it came from feedback from our teacher group. Class sites also have, a class calendar. They have a class pictures area. They have a class discussion group. They have a class wiki. They have a class blog. And the other thing I didn't mention is the notebook. I don't know how many of you are familiar with OneNote, but OneNote in and of itself is an extremely powerful tool for collaboration. Now, we don't make it incredibly available to students by putting it here, but every single class site by default does have a notebook, and if I were to click that, it would open up OneNote. And again, anyone who is invited to this class would have the ability to partake in that. A couple other things is, I can change the look of the site. Yeah.
Neal, you got a question? Go ahead, Darren.
Just wondering if the class wiki, is that public facing or is that only internal as well?
Yeah, so same as all the other elements, it's only internal. So, but there are elements, and you can see there's a little thing up here called Parent View. We are, with our parent portal, allowing parents to view work that their students are doing in the My Class area. Now, whether the Parent View actually gives them access to the wiki, yeah, it probably does. So parents could view wiki posts, and they could see some documents, but they wouldn't be able to collaborate at the same level as a student would. But the nice thing is, only the parents of those kids can actually see it. So it's not public-facing per se, but it's available to parents in an authenticated manner. Yeah, so that's it for My Class. So now I want to go on to some of the other tools that are available in Office 365, which again, some of our teachers have sort of figured out along the way, because at the top left-hand corner of Office 365, there's also a little, dashboard, which again will take you to your mail, will take you to, your calendar, your people. Actually, I'll delve into people really quick just to show you what the link tool looks like, or the Skype for Business, sorry. So if I'm in people here and I'm scrolling down, there's one user, the individual I was collaborating with just a second ago. Let me log that user back in again. Mr. Smith is the user I was collaborating with. And you can see Mr. Smith present, he's online. If I select Mr. Smith, I can, basically go to a web IM tool and say something like, whoops, hey. And Mr. Smith on my computer here with Skype can say, hey back. Whoops. Oh, I think I had a bit of a crash happen there. Well, anyway, it does work with the two users, going back and forth. So that's the web version of Skype, and I think the reason I'm not getting anything back is because I'm actually Skyping with you guys while I'm trying to do an online Skype. But again, it is a functionality of the environment. The other one I wanted to show you, Delve. Again, we're not. Oh, there's my information back from him. So Delve. We're not leveraging this a lot, but this is sort of the new way of collaboration. Delve basically uses a really complex algorithm to connect people with like interests within the environment. So again, I can click on a teacher I may have followed a bunch of times. So here's a teacher at one of our secondary schools, and again, it tells me how to contact him via Skype for Business. It'll eventually list all the documents he's worked on. It'll show me his blog. It'll do all that really cool stuff. But the real power of Delve comes in the search capabilities. Yeah, so there's some of the documents he's working on. Let's say, for example, I'm doing a project on evolution, or I just want to learn more about evolution. I go to Delve, I hit evolution, I hit enter, and basically what happens is any user who has shared a document about evolution in the environment, it's all available here through Delve. So as long as that teacher or student has chosen to share with everyone in their OneDrive, or shared it somewhere in the environment and shared with everyone, Delve can basically go out to the entire organization and look at all of the different documents that have been used in the environment about evolution. And again, that student can click on them, and based on the permissions assigned, they can either edit them or comment on them, or basically just view them. So Delve is not something we've actively pursued, but a lot of users have found it because, again, there's an icon here for it, and there's also an icon up here for it. The other one I mentioned, which we're just starting to play with now, is Sway. And again, as I mentioned before, Sway is one of those tools that how do I mention it? It's sort of like PowerPoint, but it's interactive online PowerPoint. So again, I've created one for my visit to the Tombstone Mountains in the Yukon, and you can see you've got different elements where you can add pictures, you can change how big you want the pictures to be, whether you want them to be subtle, moderate, or intense. You can have focus points on pictures. You can put descriptions on what the different pictures are, and then when you're done, you click play, much like you'd run a PowerPoint slide, and it basically creates this online presentation where individuals can scroll through and actually read all about your different adventure. So we've got a lot of students who are actually using Sway as a presentation tool, moving away from things like PowerPoint and actually leveraging an online tool like Sway. And again, with Sway, because it's web-based, you can use embed codes, and you can share them out with URLs, and you can edit them online, and you can share them, and you can have people collaborate using Sway as well. The other piece that we've just started to play with is Microsoft also has Microsoft Video, which again included in Office 365. We haven't played a lot with this because again, all of our users currently use YouTube. I mean, YouTube's a great place to upload videos, but Microsoft does have a YouTube alternative, which is again all internal to the environment. So if you wanted a safe place for kids to, create videos and upload content, and again use the same sharing structure around Office 365, you certainly could. So, here's an example of a video that was uploaded by Mrs. Borthwick's class about banning bullying. So they, created a video, they uploaded it to Office 365, and they shared it out with specific people. So using that same sort of technology. And the last one I wanted to mention is Class Notebook Creator. There's a whole separate element in Office 365 all around leveraging the power of OneNote to collaborate. So we basically added it to the teacher's dashboard such that they can come here and actually leverage the tool. So a teacher can create a class notebook, and when they, enter their students in, it creates a OneNote notebook and basically creates an entire collaborative area for teachers and students to interact. Whew. Okay, I'm looking at time, 11:43. I nailed it with 2 minutes. 2 minutes left.
That's not too shabby. That was a lot, and that was and thanks. That was great. Any questions? Now's the time.
The other thing I'll mention as well, guys, is I do have a YouTube channel. If you search up Neal at Heel, there's quite a few videos that I have to talk about, in the class site, what we're doing with Office 365 education. Some of it's corporate, which wouldn't translate, but there's a video on the student portal. So by all means, it's a public channel. You're more than welcome to have a look at that.
Awesome. Question at the back there.
You mentioned you're creating a parent portal. How does licensing work for parents?
Good question. So we're leveraging a brand new technology from Microsoft called Azure B2C, Business to Consumer. Actually, you know what? I want to show it off. Now, we haven't launched this yet. Ooh, that looks horrible. Oh, there we go. We haven't launched this yet, but basically, because we have 150,000 students in Peel, all of which have 2 legal guardians, we want the ability for the legal guardian to allow their grandparents to see it, or babysitters to see it, or other caregivers to see it. We didn't want to host potentially 500,000 accounts and give, authentication managing it. So what we did is we're leveraging a tool called Azure B2C, Business to Consumer, which allows us to leverage social media logins for these individuals. So for example, I can log in with my Google account, which will probably, it says, I've got a Google account here, and I'm probably already logged in on this PC, and it takes me directly into Parent Connect. So I've got a relationship between Google.com and our Parent Connect, and then Microsoft handles all the authentication. There's a trust between the two, and then based on the user I logged in with, on the profile page, I would choose the student I have access to, and there's a whole bunch of technology that makes sure I can only see the students that I should see. I know that was a horrible explanation, but that's what we're doing with Parent Connect.
So is there a licensing cost?
There is, but because it's business to consumer, it's explicitly made for large numbers of authenticated users. Microsoft has sort of given us a ballpark figure that we should be able to host, 500,000 parents for $10,000 a year. So it's very scalable that way.
Well, So, and in the parent portal here that you're making, so if you drill down to a classroom, I think you've already shown, like, they'll have full access to the exact that class site that you're showing us before?
Yeah, so here's the students tab, and you can see there's a demographics information, there's attendance information. If I click on courses, these are the Office 365 sites associated with this student.
Right.
And then if I click on that, I would get a view-only view of the Office 365 sites that they created.
Right. And so you must have some data flow to your SIS in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. We use web services a lot to directly interact with our student information system.
Okay. I got to ask, how many staff do you have, Neal?
My core team that's worked on this is 3 people. And that includes myself.
Okay.
So we're a small team, but we're very mighty.
Wow.
And the other thing, I'll never ever mention our developer's name because, yeah. So he's known as the guy who sits in the basement chained to his desk that does a lot of really good work.
Well, or you can do that, or you just pay him well.
Nah, we don't pay our staff well.
Any other questions from anybody? Well, I mean, being aware of the time, and we said 45 minutes, and you just hit it bang on. I really thank you, Neal, for sharing this. And I mean, that was really, really quick, but that was the time we gave you.
Yeah, my pleasure, Clark. Again, I love the opportunity to show what we've done, and I can't emphasize the point that we're very willing to share and help.
Well, that's good to know, and again, I can't help it. But I mean, I reach out to Neal because I added him to my federation, and so I love now that I have Neal's my bitch now because I have him right here, and if I really need to talk to him, I just tag him for alerts so that when he touches his mouse, I know that, well, he'll start ignoring me soon, but I can ask questions whenever I want. So
There you go.
I really appreciate that, and I think maybe we will. You might get some contacts or some reaches out because I think
That's fine.
Yeah, because you're down much further down the path in not just 365, but in a lot of just the whole elements of portals and all that kind of stuff. That
Yeah, and again, our organization has been very, very progressive, and it really needs to be, supported by your senior leadership teams.
excellent. Okay.
All right, great, guys. Thanks a lot for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.